Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Broken Knights Games. My name is Sam, and this is another devlog for the game I'm creating called Sumo Showdown. Now I've made some pretty substantial progress since the last devlog I posted, and you're about to see all of it. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, where I'll be posting a new game dev related video every other week on Fridays, so you don't want to miss out on future devlogs and tutorials. Now, something I've been doing since the start of this year is logging all the time I spend on game dev related items. Now, I do this for two reasons. One, it's to gauge how long it takes me to implement a particular feature, so that in the future, if I want to do something similar, I know how long it's going to take, and this will help control scope and help me set some reasonable goals and kind of give me an idea of what I can create with the time I have available. And then the second reason why I'm logging my time is to prove to myself and to you that with a little bit of discipline and consistency, you can actually accomplish quite a bit. Now, one thing to keep in mind is making games is not my full-time job. My full-time job is working as a software developer consultant. So I'm programming all day, I'm working creating cloud applications. So creating games is really strictly an outside of work activity for me, and a passion at this point. So looking at the hours, so total hours logged from January 24th to going to February 18th. So that's about 3.5 weeks. So I spent 33.5 hours logged strictly to working on Sumo Showdown, and everything that I'm going to present to you today, everything I'm going to talk about today is a part of that 33.5 hours. And then I also spent 9 hours creating a YouTube video for the last 2 weeks video. That was the Git with Git LFS video. So not all my free time in this 3.5 weeks is going strictly to Sumo Showdown, but I am spending some time just establishing my studio. So one of the major things I accomplished was implementing a new game mode. So I created a new game mode called Payday, where players have to collect coins in the allotted match time while still trying to stay in the sumo ring. So pushing players out will cause the player to lose coins, and once all the coins are collected, new coins will spawn. So basically, at the end of the time for the round, whoever has the most money wins. And then you can play a best of 3 rounds, or you can play 1 round, depending. So I created for this game mode some Payday coin models, and these are modeled after like old Japanese feudal style yen coins, and then I just used the same model and created 3 different textures. So I have a bronze and a silver and a gold, because each of the 3 coin types are worth a different amount. It's also a faster paced game mode, so I created a respawn system, which you can see demonstrated here. Also, you might notice I juiced it up a little bit by adding some coin sound effects and some pickup sound effects, and added some more particle systems in there, just to give it some better game feel. Alright, next up, I created some more environmental assets. So I continued more progress on the Desert Canyon arena. So I exported this basic Pro Builder spire model that the arena is balancing on into Blender, where I then cleaned it up and then I prepared it for sculpting. And then following the similar process that I did for the Desert Canyon rocks, as demonstrated in my previous videos, I'll put a link to those in the description. I created the large rock spire and sculpted all the detail in there, and then I textured it and brought it back in. So then after that, I decided to add another hazard to the canyon arena. So each arena's kind of got different hazards, and this one, I mean, the balancing rock, you could say, is a hazard, but I also wanted some other things that kind of happen during the match that make things a little bit challenging for the players. So I thought I had the idea that it would be funny if there were these like vultures that fly in from time to time and land on the edge of the balancing platform, which would cause it to shift in weight. So I decided to prototype this idea with some placeholder vultures using just Unity 3D primitive objects, and then I created a system that would handle where the vultures would spawn and where they would land, as you can see here. And then after testing this idea with this prototype, I came to the conclusion that this would definitely work. So I started creating an actual vulture model to use. So I did this using Blender and Mudbox. First in Blender, I created a basic base mesh to use that is kind of roughly the shape of the vulture. And then after that, I brought it into Mudbox, where I began to shape and sculpt it out to be a little bit more detailed. And then once I was happy with the way the sculpt turned out, I brought it back into Blender and then did a manual retopology workflow. And I did this in order to create a clean mesh so that I can use it to animate, as well as also bake the high resolution sculpted detail into a normal map to apply to that mesh. And then after that, I brought it back into Mudbox so I could paint some textures and give it some color. So lastly, I came back into Blender to begin animating. So for my prototype, I determined that I would need at least 3 animations. So one for flying, one for landing, one for taking off, and then probably one for being idle while landed. So luckily, landing and taking off, this can be the same animation. I just play the landing animation backwards and have it work for taking off. Sometimes you can get away with reversing an animation instead of creating a whole new one. So it just really depends. I didn't finish the vulture model with all the animations before making this video, but I did create a flight animation and a landing animation that you can see here. Also, here is the vulture model with the texture maps applied. I did bring it into Unity just to do a test to see how that looks, and I'm pretty pleased with the way it turned out. So yeah, I kind of went for like a stylized semi-cartoon look for the vulture, since the rest of the characters kind of fall into that category. So there you have it, and that about wraps things up for this devlog. And coming up ahead, I'm planning on creating another game mode, so I still need to finish the vultures, as well as the Desert Canyon Arena. I also want to create some more other hazards for some of the other maps, because I think that'll be really interesting. But you know, things are really starting to come together, and overall I'm pretty happy with what I was able to accomplish over the past 3 weeks in just 33 hours. And if you're making games in your free time as well, like me, I hope you found this encouraging. So if you found this video helpful or have any other thoughts on what I just showed you, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think of my game so far. Also, if you want to follow along with me on this game dev journey, subscribe to my channel for more videos. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.